Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
So what are you drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is I Crave You. Brewed and canned by Westbrook Brewing Company in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, for Sun Lab Brewing Company in Miami, Florida. 5.7% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can. American sour ale with passion fruit and tangerine. That's it. What I have to say is this is tangy and crisp and refreshing. I could easily drink like 20 of these. It's just so easy to drink. They're so good. Don't you think so?
I think 20 would be pushing it because they're a tall can, but...
Yeah. I mean, over like a day.
Yeah, I mean... I think that would be kind of expensive because craft beer is expensive, but hey, as long as you got the money.
Yeah. Anyway, our dogs are fighting. I don't know if that
was Dobby chasing Steve.
Okay,
like bad out of hell. Just...
One of our dogs and the cat are fighting.
Yeah.
So anyway, I give I Crave You a 9.5 out of 10. I enjoy it a lot. And I just may buy some for my personal time.
Personal time.
My personal
time.
I
really actually, that is one of the first beers in a while that we've had that I was really into.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, I like a sour anyway. But that tangerine kind of kick gives me the feeling that I'm like sucking on a cutie, you know?
Ooh, hello.
Ew, that sounded gross.
Sucking on a cutie.
You know those little mandarin oranges?
Yeah, I know. I know, but you don't have to get
Oh.
racist about it.
Sucking on a cutie. Man, I gotta stop thinking. No, I've got to start thinking before I open my mouth.
There we go.
Bless myself.
Our shot in the dark for the night. We saved the best for last out of our moonshine selection. Butter Pecan Appalachian Sippin Cream. Produced and bottled by Sugarlands Distilling Company, LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. 20% alcohol by volume. Let's read the bottle. Our Butter Pecan Cream liqueur is a velvety buttercream churned with the taste of campfire roasted pecans. End quote. What I have to say is this is the quintessential sipping cream. If you're going to try one of them, make it this one. Is without a doubt the best one, and we like all of them. So,
truth.
You know, this is easily the best one. The pecan flavor absolutely explodes in your mouth like you're sucking on a cutie.
Ew, no.
And it just rounds it off into the perfect drink. There's absolutely nothing better, and I mean that. And if you really want to spice up your day, put this into your pancake batter in the morning. Make some pancakes.
Add it to your coffee.
Oh, yeah, add it to your coffee. And we made a nice drink as well. First of all, it gets a 10 out of 10 on ice. It is just amazing by itself. It really is. 10 out of 10. And Leah made this cocktail herself. We're calling it, I came up with steamed butternuts, and Leah's was steamy nut butter. I'll explain how it was made later, but that gets 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 overall. So that's it for the alcohols, Leah, but I want to say how the drink was made real quick.
Okay.
So we made a purchase recently with Christmas money.
I thought we decided not to tell anybody about that.
We're going to have to tell people
Mitchell?
because... But we made an extravagant purchase with Christmas money. Leah got really into YouTube videos of this machine. If you've never heard of it, trust me, look it up. It's called a Thermomix. And it is huge in Australia. It's originally German-made, right? Mm-hmm. Huge in Australia, not as big in America, but, you know, I think it's kind of like bidets, like it's catching on slowly, you know. Anyway, this thing is like a blender that cooks things, and it has recipes for you. There's a recipe in there for something called a vanilla steamer, right? Something like that. Yeah, so it's like milk and sugar, and it just heats it and whips it into a foam.
Mm-hmm.
So Leah made that vanilla steamer recipe with, instead of milk, it was vanilla, milk, and sugar. So instead of milk, she put in the butter pecan.
No, I used milk.
Oh, okay.
I steamed it, and then I added a shot of the butter pecan.
Okay.
And then half a shot of the hazelnut rum from the same company.
There you go.
And stirred it together and put a little caramel drizzle over the top of it.
Yeah.
It's fucking fabulous.
It is. It's a warm drink, and it's fucking good, but it's strong as fuck.
It is strong.
The hazelnut rum really sticks out in this. But anyway, that's the cocktail, so there you go.
It's
It's real good.
And please don't look up Thermomixes because I don't need anybody judging me for my purchases. And yes, we've used it every single day, multiple times a day since we purchased it.
Yes.
So
it's completely worth it.
don't judge me. Just putting that out there.
But yeah, I mean, it's quite the purchase. But again, we had Christmas money. That's all we get for Christmas is money. So anyway, that's what we got. And now we use it, like Leah said, every day. And it makes some wonderful drinks.
And cocktails, damn, you've never made a better daiquiri in your life. It's better than anything that I've ever gotten at a bar just because of how smooth it can get that ice.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Frozen drinks in that motherfucker is excellent.
Yeah. But anyway, that's everything. I just wanted to tell the story real quick. The music's already faded out. We're done. But y'all need to know where the cocktail came from. Leah made a nice warm drink, and whew, it's good.
And the machine cleaned itself afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it does that too.
so good. Anyway,
That's
once again, don't look that up. Anyway,
do it.
are you ready for our sassy Southern saying of the evening?
I sure am.
Alrighty. Well, today we're going to do a pretty simple one.
Okay.
And this is your phrase that you need to work into your regular conversation sometime this week.
I hope not sporadically.
Thank you for that. I really appreciated that. Anyway, he ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, neither.
Oh, okay. Well, I understand that it's like, what was it called? Like a bed, not a bed chamber, but
chamber pot.
Chamber pot, right? And those were not necessarily cheap, right? And then you also don't live in a place that has windows, so you have nowhere to throw it out of, right? That's
Pretty
everything.
much. Just means you're poor as shit.
Yeah. You can't afford anywhere to throw your piss, right?
Yeah.
And then anywhere from which to throw your piss as well.
Even if he could pee in a bucket, he couldn't dispose of it because he ain't got a window to toss it out of,
Yeah. Well, that's sad, Leah. I don't like that one. Don't do that one.
Sorry.
Do another one. Look one up real quick.
Nope. That's your phrase for the evening. And like I said, if you can work that into everyday conversation, please email me and tell me how you did that. I would love an example of the conversations you're out there having with these absurd phrases. Makes me happy.
Make sure to work that one in your office somehow.
Oh, did you hear about George? Oh, he ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, neither. Poor George.
I don't know that I've ever
Bless his
heard
heart.
the window to throw it out of part. I really don't think I have. So
That's the full phrase. A lot of the times people will shorten it to he ain't got a pot to piss in.
Yeah,
but
that's
the
what I
full
was thinking.
phrase is he ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
And he's homeless, so we should look down upon him.
Bless it.
Is what you're saying.
We should not. We should really help poor George there. But
that's what you said.
it's the phrase.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're an awful person, but
Yeah, I think I'm an awful person too, but not because of that. Look, if we're judging Leah, there's lots of bullshit to judge Leah on that has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, we don't even need to start there.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
All
we can
right.
find something else.
Lots of something else's.
Yeah.
But before we go, judgmentally damning our host, me.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
How about we get into our very first story of the evening? Are you ready for it?
Please. Can we judge you after that?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Yay.
Y'all can judge me for shit whenever. I don't care.
Okay.
Ain't none of my business.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. The very first story of the evening, we are going to North Carolina, and we're going to be talking about the Mako lots.
Mako?
Mako. Yeah.
All right. That's a type of fish, I believe. Mako?
Maybe?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's a shark, like a Mako shark.
Yeah.
But this is spelled Maco.
Oh, like Macon, but you got lazy.
But without the N. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to be talking about the Mako lots, and this is another ghost lot story. We've had several of these, and a lot of the times they are connected to railroads, and boy, howdy, it's also connected to a railroad this time.
What do you know?
Yeah. So, this lot has been seen for, over 100 years. Mysterious lot bobbing up and down along the railroad tracks.
Okay.
Near Mako Station, and it's, if you don't know where that is, which why would you, unless you live there, it's a few miles west of Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
So everybody sees these lights approach, and then they sort of disappear, like a lot of the other ghost lights that we've talked of before. And these lights have been observed over and over and over again. They've been photographed. They've been seen by lots of different people. And they've, in fact, been seen by a president of the United States. So shot in the dark.
Starting early.
Even a president of the USA has reportedly witnessed the Mako lights. Mitchell, my question for you is, which president was it?
Can I take a guess before we
go for it?
Can I say Jimmy Carter?
It wasn't.
He seems like it would. I mean, everybody likes Jimmy Carter. He just seems like the type that's like, yeah, I saw those crazy lights.
No, that was the aliens in Georgia. We're in North Carolina, and it's not the same.
Okay.
And we're not even in the same era as Jimmy Carter because, well, we'll get to why he couldn't have seen him later, but not right now. All right.
Okay.
So, the president of the United States could be A, Grover Cleveland, B, William McKinley, or C, Chester Arthur.
Chester A. Arthur, first of all.
Excuse me, I forgot to put in the A.
I like Grover Cleveland.
You are correct.
Yay.
It is, in fact, Grover Cleveland.
Well, you know what? I'm not letting you have a shot by yourself, so I'm going to pour me one over here, too. I brought 2 shot glasses. When we have something really good, I always bring 2 shot glasses just in case. And, yeah, that's happening. So, give me just 1 second, and I will get this over to you. Leah made the dog growl at her.
Well, he's a little bastard. I'm sorry.
He hates when his feet are touched, and Leah leaned up to get the shot glass, and he went, because obviously he rubbed her feet.
Yeah.
She rubbed his feet, excuse me.
Like, anytime you can like look at that dog's feet and he gets pissed at you. I don't know what it is.
He's a sweetheart. He's
ridiculous.
I don't understand his thing, but yeah, he hates having his feet touched.
He's absolutely ridiculous.
It's so cute.
It is not, especially when you try to leave him in the bed to be good dog parents, and
Yeah.
He thinks that it's the best thing in the world to just be right underneath my butt.
Yeah.
And like I sleep with a weighted blanket that weighs 25 pounds, and I'm afraid he's tiny. I'm afraid it's going to crush him to death. Like, so keep trying to push him down to where he can sleep normal without getting crushed. And he just gets pissy and growls at me at 2 a.m.
He's a sweet man.
He's such an asshole.
He's the best dog in the world. Let's take these shots. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, that's the best.
It really is.
That is the absolute best. It's so nutty. So nutty and wonderful.
It is nutty and smooth and creamy. It's just, so good.
The best thing ever. I'm so glad you didn't say the D word. I already have one instance in here that I have to mute you on.
I'm sorry.
Or beep you.
Yeah, so. I try to remember the D word issue, but it's hard sometimes.
Well, the thing is, I know for a fact there are 2 episodes like a month or so ago that I just let it slide. I remember it happening and I was like, I got to fix that. And then I didn't and put the episode out.
We try, but we are fallible human beings.
Well,
like Grover Cleveland, who was the
He's
president.
fallible for that?
Huh?
For believing the thing?
No, just because he didn't get reelected and then skipped and then got reelected,
Yeah.
He's the only non-consecutive term president.
Yeah, I mean, does that make him fallible, though?
I mean, he's just a human being. I think we all are we not? Anyway, so
I'm not.
Grover Cleveland, in fact, did see the Mako lights on a whistle stop tour. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. But but the story that we're going to talk about is how the lights actually came about, or according to the lore, what caused the lights. So it happened on a very tragic night in 1867.
Oh no, it was tragic.
It was tragic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always tragic. You're not going to tell a story because the ghost was super happy to be there. Anyway, so this train was rolling down the tracks like normal. And, there was a signalman that was, his name was Joe Baldwin. And he was, in the back, in the caboose, sleeping. Because he only had to signal as they come into stations. And they had a little stretch there where he wasn't needed. So he was taking his break, taking a nap in the caboose in his sleeper.
Sleeping in the caboose, huh?
And so, he got violently jolted awake by like a jerky motion in the car. And he had worked on the railroad for quite some time. And he knew exactly what the fuck had happened, and he was very distraught because it was a problem. So he realized pretty immediately that the caboose had become uncoupled from the rest of the car.
Oh, no.
And so he was stranded in this caboose on a track without the rest of the train, and he had no way to like radio up to the conductor because it was 1867 and there were no radios. There was no way to tell everybody at the front, hey, you're missing your caboose, bitches, come back, and this was really dangerous for him because he knew for a fact that excuse me.
Oh, what was that, Leah? That's so unprofessional.
Sorry about that. He knew for a fact that his train was not the only train that was coming through on these tracks that was scheduled to come through at this time.
Yeah.
He knew that there was another train not too far behind them, and he knew that he was about to get fucked up or they were about to get fucked up or both. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going at speed and you hit a train car, it's going to be a problem.
Big problem.
Yeah, you could derail the train. You could kill the person in there. Lots of things. So he was attempting to do everything he could to avoid having the train behind him derail. And he was also, hoping not to die himself, but, he had some choices to make. So choice A is he abandons ship and gets off the train track and lives to see another day. But it could cause that passenger train to derail and kill lots of fucking people.
Yeah.
Or he could stay on the car and try to signal the train to get them to slow down enough to where it might kill him and throw the car, but it would not derail the train and it would keep all of those people from dying. So it was, a problem, sort of like, which do you pick? And he decided that he was going to attempt to signal the train that was coming to stop. And he knew that in the area that it was, there wasn't a ton of visibility and it would be very, very difficult for them to slow down enough to not kill him. But he was pretty much like, look, we're going to make sure that the rest of these passengers aren't killed in this derailment. So he goes out on the back deck of the caboose and he gets his lantern because he's a signalman and he's got a lantern.
Yeah.
And so he makes the choice to start trying to signal the oncoming train to stop. And so he gets out there with his signal lantern on the platform of the caboose and he starts waving this lantern, signaling somehow. I don't really know how signal lanterns work, but he's just waving his light all over the place like, bitches, stop, and he did this for several minutes. He knows that in a little while a train is coming. He doesn't know exactly the time, but he does know that if the engineer ends up seeing the light, he's going to try to stop. He also knew that the chances were very good that he was going to get hit. So he just keeps going and is waving this lantern and waving this lantern and just waiting for the oncoming train. Okay. And eventually his plan actually works. The engineer in the oncoming train sees the lights, realizes that something is on the track ahead, that they are attempting to signal them to stop. So they pull the brakes as hard as they possibly can. But a train with all of that momentum behind it takes a very, very long time to stop.
Yeah, like a couple miles usually, right?
Yes, and brakes aren't that great on something like that. So it ended up slamming into the caboose that Joe was on. And it did, in fact, basically completely obliterate the caboose, but it did not derail the train, and it was minimal damage to the train, and nobody got hurt or died on that passenger train.
Well, that's good.
It's great. Unfortunately, Joe Baldwin was decapitated in the crash.
Jesus.
Yeah. So,
good God.
The force of the blow basically, threw his head off and into the swamps near the track, and according to legend, his head was never found. They did recover his body, and his body was buried, with a hero's going away kind of funeral celebration. Like, he kept a bunch of these people from dying. He sacrificed himself that way, so he was a big hero, but headless dude, poor guy.
Yeah.
So years after that particular accident happened, people, especially the engineers, were known to see lights moving up and down on the track around the Mako station. And sometimes it was just the one light, sometimes it was two lights, but people started the rumor, the legend, the folklore that it was actually the ghost of Joe out there on the track looking for his missing head. Because, of course he was looking for his missing head. It was missing. They didn't bury him with it. And he was upset about that, I guess. So he was out there on the track just looking and looking and looking for his head. And after that particular, thing starts happening, eventually, the problem is that people see that lot, and the engineers think that someone is signaling them to stop in that spot.
Yeah.
And trains kept stopping right there at Mako because they see these lots, and they're like, well, shit, there's nothing here. We're delaying train traffic. And it was becoming such an issue that they ended up having to develop a new signal situation there at the Mako station. So they ended up using two different colored lights, a red light and a green light, to signal these so people wouldn't see these white glowing lights and assume that they had to stop at this station.
Yeah.
And that's actually where the President Grover Cleveland came in. So the president's train, he was on a whistle-stop tour doing a campaign, stopping at every town down the train track. And his train had stopped there to gas up, I guess, or getting more wood and water and all of that stuff. And he saw the two signal lights, and he was asking them about it, and, they told him all about it. And they ended up seeing the lights floating on the train track after they left that station. And so that's, a president has seen these lights, so they have to be real, right?
I agree.
I don't know.
I've never had a president lie to me. Not to me personally.
Oh, bless. Anyway, so in the spring of 1964, the Southeastern North Carolina Beach Association, because that's a thing, decided to contact a parapsychologist that was very famous at the time named Hans Holzer, and they had him come out to Mako to investigate the stories of the lot there. And Mr. Holzer was like, yeah, that's a phantom train, man. Most definitely. That we have consistently seen these lights here. Totally a ghost. 10 out of 10. Yeah. So it was a pretty popular thing in the time. But the lights have not been seen recently. And the reasons people give for that are that they actually ended up pulling up, like, that railroad system, that whole line became obsolete. They stopped using it. And the tracks were actually removed in, I believe, 1977. So after these railroad tracks were removed at the Mako station, people stopped seeing the lights. And a lot of people believe that the ghost was attached to the railroad tracks themselves, and that's why they no longer see the lights.
Okay.
And then some people believe that it isn't that. Some people are trying to give it a little bit more of a natural explanation as opposed to a paranormal explanation. And some of the explanations that local scientists have given are that the Mako station stands on a fault line.
Yeah.
And some people think that it's possible that the static electricity that was produced by the fault sort of slipping kind of built up a static electricity charge, and it sort of discharged along the tracks, and that was what was causing the lights.
That sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. It's given me really like Gurdon Light's piezoelectric effect feels that don't seem quite normal. But since the tracks were pulled up, they haven't seen the lights because I guess the metal tracks weren't there to discharge the energy. I'm not sure. That explanation seems weirdly less credible than the ghost without the head. I don't know. But yeah, so that is the story, the legend, the haunting of the Mako lights.
Well, it sounds like bullshit, Leah. To be completely honest with you.
I'm sorry, but
I find it not believable at all.
You don't like the railroad ghost lights? Because there's a bunch of them.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said it sounds unbelievable.
Unbelievable as you don't think people saw lights, or that you don't believe it. The reason they see lights is because of the ghost.
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
Because the lights were photographed. The lights were well documented. Well documented. I believe there was a light. I don't know that I believe that there was a light because a headless dude was looking for his head.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like there was some kind of natural phenomenon going on that was causing these lights, but I don't also believe that it was static electricity from the railroad and the fault lines either. So I don't particularly know what it was, but I do believe the light was there.
Okay. Well, you have that, so good for you.
You're not going to give me your, just... Good for you,
I'm sure there was. I'm sure it was swamp gas.
You're so pretty.
It's always swamp gas. You know that.
Well, I mean, it was a marshy, swampy area that they were running through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's possible. I also have never seen glowing swamp gas. So
it's always swamp gas. You know that.
Sometimes it's cranes.
Well, whatever. I just want more shots. So can we go to the next story? I want it so bad.
All right, I guess. All right.
Oh.
Well, are you ready for our second story of the evening?
I sure am.
This one has a lot more true crime and a lot more prostitution.
Yay, my favorite.
Yes.
Prostitution, mostly.
So we are going to be talking about a story that happened in New Orleans.
Oh, what happened in New Orleans?
Someone got stabbed, but we'll get there.
Never mind.
A couple of someone's got stabbed, but anyway. We are going to be talking about the life and death of Kate Townsend. And she was a notorious brothel owner in, post-Civil War New Orleans.
Okay.
And a little bit pre-Civil War, but, we're focusing on the antebellum years. Wait, no, antebellum's before, postbellum. Whatever. I'm drunk. Leave me alone.
Are you? Already?
I'm getting there.
Jesus.
Anyway, so in the years following the Civil War, the New Orleans, red light district became pretty damn famous in the United States.
I'll say.
Yeah, and one of the most prominent bordellos was the bordello that was run at number 40 Basin Street, and the madam there was a woman named Miss Kate Townsend. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be talking about her brothel and her demise. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I love hearing about people's demises.
So Kate Townsend was originally from Liverpool, England. She became a sex worker very early in her life, mid to late teens. And that was not going great for her in England. She ended up giving birth to two illegitimate twins that she really had no means to support and didn't really want to support them. So she ended up giving up those children for adoption, and she ended up deciding that coming to America was the choice for her. So she ends up booking passage on a ship and ends up in New Orleans. And once she's in
Uh-oh.
This is hard, y'all. Once she ends up in New Orleans, she starts working at a brothel that was run by a woman named Maggie.
Are you okay?
Nope.
What's happening over there?
Struggle bussin'. She starts working at a brothel owned by a woman named Maggie Thompson, and she's a beautiful young woman. She's very smart. She's very witty. And she becomes really popular and starts getting patrons that start giving her plenty of money. And she's also a very ambitious woman. She realizes that, sex work is fine for now, but she wants to be the person in charge. You know what I mean? She wants to open up her own brothel because she wants to be the one controlling all the money and making sure, you know, she's in control of her fate.
Right.
So eventually she gets set up with some more rich men, and she ends up leaving Maggie Thompson's bordello, and she starts renting out a home of her own in 1863. So she rents a house on Custom House Street, and she did a pretty good business there. She had a lot of very wealthy, powerful citizens in her clientele, some politicians, some city officials, and they helped her get set up money-wise and just, you know, influence-wise in a much more permanent and gorgeous location.
Okay.
So she ended up at a beautiful brownstone mansion at 40 Basin Street, which you can go visit today, should you care to.
I don't, but I might.
Yeah. But number 40 Basin Street was furnished in the most extravagant, lavish, gorgeous furnishings. Like the most opulent bordello that you can come up with in your mind. That's what it looked like. It was all white marble and, you know, just black stained woodwork and velvet and gold everywhere. People even said that the chamber pots were made of gold, like, or at least gilded in gold.
Right.
Like they were pissing in gold at this point, you know, like it was a swanky digs.
Their chamber pots were made of gold?
Well, they were gilded in gold, which sounds like a terrible waste of gilding, but you know, what are you going to do? Sometimes you want to piss in money.
I don't.
I don't either, but
wanted to do it.
No. But Shot in the Dark.
Oh God, here we go.
This is for you.
Why? Well, yeah, fucking. Why would it not be? Are you drunk?
Because a little bit, but because you said you really wanted another shot. So
oh yeah,
thank
you.
This one's for you. Shot in the Dark. How much was Kate's house and all of its furnishings worth in 1866?
Okay.
Was it A, $100,000? Was it B, $200,000? Or was it C, $300,000?
I'll go with B. Give me B.
You're correct. It was $200,000.
Excellent.
And the equivalent of $200,000 in today's money, from back then, would be $3,276,402.52.
She did the math.
Yeah.
Hey, give me your shot glass because I want to take a shot. So that means that you have to give me yours since I got the question right. Oh, there we go.
I didn't do the math. I did the inflation calculator.
She did the inflation calculator, everybody.
Yeah, there's an inflation calculator online. Just Google it, and they will inflate and calculate for you.
Inflate and calculate. Got to calculate the inflate. Oh, shit. Oh, no. It just spilled all over your hand. Because I had to sing it. My hand is going to
be so sticky.
I'm sorry. That's what she said.
Oh, I hate
All right, take it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. Oh, man, that's nice. Whew, hot damn. You okay? You need some water for your hand? Because it's all sticky? Okay, well, do what I do at restaurants after we eat wings, and I take a little sip of water and kind of spit it back into my hand.
That is so gross. Use wet
I make
naps.
sure nobody's watching.
I'm watching every time, and I'm disgusted.
Don't count. You're not people.
My wife ain't people.
You're not
Fuck
people.
her.
No, not in that respect, but like to me, you're not people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what you think. You see what I mean?
You are digging this hole real deep, bitch.
I'm not trying to save myself. I'm making a point. I know what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, I don't give a shit.
Y'all, my husband doesn't think I'm a human being.
No,
this is great.
No. You are in the eyes of other people. Yeah. I don't give a shit.
I'm just your robot blender operator.
Oh, God. Hey, I've operated that thing, too, a few times.
All right. Anyway.
It's so nice that it does everything for you. That's my favorite part about it.
Anyway, back to the I'm not people thing. Anyway, so yes, the house and all of its furnishings were estimated to be worth $200,000, and that's a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
So she had done very, very, very well for herself, and when she set up this new bordello, she made sure that everything was exquisite, everything was elegant, and she made sure that the women that she hired to work for her were also equally elegant, educated, beautiful women. And she did not refer to these women as prostitutes or sex workers or ladies of the night. She called them boarders.
Oh.
Because it was a boarding house that she was running, not a bordello. They were boarders. They were young women boarders. And all of the boarders received their guests in evening gowns. They were dressed to the nines. They were absolutely stunning young women. And they did not do anything that was vulgar. They didn't curse. They didn't discuss coarse things. They, were as elegant and genteel as possible in the meeting rooms in the house.
Right.
But, for a price.
Go ahead.
You go back to their room,
Okay.
So they also made sure, Kate also made sure that all of their customers were the most exclusive gentlemen in town. Only, wealthy men were allowed to enter. And once they entered, they all knew that they were expected to purchase champagne for all of the boarders in the house.
Mm-hmm.
That it was around on him when someone showed up. You had to know.
That's nice.
And when the man visited for the very first time, excuse me, he had to have an interview with Miss Kate. And if she decided he was not a man of character, and if she decided that he didn't have enough money, he would be bounced out of that house real quick.
Okay.
Because if you couldn't afford their services, there ain't no reason to have you hanging around the house.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you.
And Kate was perfectly capable of bouncing these bitches out of her house if she needed to. So she had a reputation of having just the most elite brothel in the city. In the country, actually. It was very well known.
She had the most elite brothel.
It was an elite brothel.
That's something that I aspire to.
Having an elite brothel?
No, to go to the most elite brothel. Just to see, I'm not going to patronize. I want to see what separates it,
Oh, all right. Well, so Kate also had a business partner or a common law husband, whatever you want to call him.
Those are two very different things.
Well, they acted about the same.
Okay.
This man's name was Troyville Egbert Sykes.
Oh, Troyville.
Troisville, Troyville.
Okay.
Troyville Egbert Sykes. It's Egbert, man.
Yeah.
They called him Bill. It was fun.
They called old Troyville Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better than Egbert.
If you say so.
But she called him her fancy man. But basically, she was illiterate. She couldn't read or write, so he kept all of the books. He made sure that all of the official business that had to be written down was done. But for the most part, he wasn't controlling anything. He was just the bookkeeper. And, she lived with him as her husband forever. They lived together for about 25 years, like husband and wife, but they were never officially married, which will come up later, turns out.
Oh.
Foreshadowing.
I'm excited.
All right. So, right after the war happened, during the Reconstruction period, the clientele of her bordello was mostly wealthy carpetbaggers. So businessmen from the north that came to sell things to the south,
Correct.
Wealthy merchants.
I will give you that.
That is mostly what her clientele was. But as Reconstruction ended and less moneyed people were coming through New Orleans, the quality of the gentlemen that showed up at the bordello and then the quality that they were able to keep up at the bordello itself declined.
Mm-hmm.
Which, everything must come to an end, I suppose. But, she wasn't thrilled with it, and it started taking its toll on her, and she started drinking, and she was just sort of fell into a depression kind of situation. And in the 1870s, there was a fight between two, quote, drunken gamblers at her house, and one man stabbed the other one to death, and that sort of like kind of tarnished the reputation of the bordello a little bit. But the police actually gave Kate the murder weapon as a souvenir for funsies.
That's nice.
It was a 9-inch Bowie knife, and she used to carry it around in her bag just every day, going around her business in New Orleans. She also slept with it under her pillow at night. She was known for just carrying around this Bowie knife that a man had stabbed another man with at her bordello.
I was going to say, like, that sounds more dangerous than the people who sleep with a gun under their pillow. Yeah. That sounds way more dangerous.
It does. I toss and turn way too much to keep anything under my pillow. It's hard to keep the sheets under my pillow,
Yeah. I agree.
It's awful.
You move around a lot. Hence the dog getting angry at you all night.
Well, he shouldn't be trying to get up under my very heavy cover. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
But anyway, after that happened, like I said, her alcoholism became a problem. And she became kind of sullen, and she also gained a lot of weight.
Oh, God, Leah.
A lot of weight. And they say it's possibly due to a, quote, glandular condition. Who knows? But she was a very short woman, and she weighed upwards of 300 pounds in the 1880s, which was quite a bit.
Yeah.
For someone of that stature at that time period, when people were generally smaller, she was a very large woman. And a reporter for a newspaper called the Daily States, quote, said that her bust was one of the sights of the city, because she just had big old titties, I guess.
She had big old bitties.
Yeah, she had that push-up corset thing going on, and she had bar winch titties,
Oh, now we're talking.
If you've ever been to a Renaissance fair, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. It's sad to say.
Just do. So, also around that time period, Kate's relationship with Mr. Sykes didn't continue to be as peachy as it had been in the previous, decade or so.
Okay.
They started fighting and arguing, and Kate was a bit of a bitch, and she kind of got a little violent towards him sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes he would, reciprocate, but for the most part, a lot of people say that she was abusive towards him physically. And she would frequently beat the shit out of him. And most of the time people say that he was a very chill, mild, timid man. One time he almost cut his nose off with her Bowie knife.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, so it was legitimately a problem. And he, obviously being in an abusive relationship, decided that drinking and smoking opium was a great way to deal with his situation.
Mm-hmm. It's not bad.
And it also turns out that he was stealing substantial amounts of money from Kate because he was the bookkeeper and she couldn't read. So she starts realizing that he's basically bleeding her dry. She's pissed about it. They're both drunk. It's a problem. And he became incredibly jealous because Kate decides, look, I'm not married to that fucker. I can do whatever the hell I want. And she starts seeing a younger man named Mr. McKern.
Nice. Mr. McKern.
Mr. McKern. 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 So on the night of November the 2nd in 1883, Kate and one of her boarders named Molly Johnson, they went out with Mr. McKern and another young man, and they all got super duper fucked up, and there was an argument, and Kate drew the Bowie knife and made Mr. McKern apologize for something that he had said, and Molly, the boarder, recalled later saying that Kate was just like, I gotta cut someone. I'm gonna go home and just cut someone.
Excuse me, I've got to cut someone.
I'm gonna go shank Mr. Sykes.
Sorry, I have to cut cut someone.
Like, I really want to fucking cut someone's belly open. Like, let's do this. And apparently it was a threat that she had made before. She gets real stabby occasionally, and she's never done anything. So why would you think that she was going to stab anybody?
I agree.
So Mr. Sykes had gone for a walk that next morning, and when he came back, he realized that Kate was still in her bed sleeping off that whole drunken row from the night before. So he sat down and started drinking some coffee, and the housekeeper shows up, and the housekeeper, finds Kate hanging out in her bedroom in her nightgown, holding a big ass knife, and she only asked to see Mr. Sykes, and Mr. Sykes was like, okay. So he comes up to the room, and Kate beats him in the head with a water goblet. And he freaks out and kind of runs away. And so he gets back down and is like, hey, she's fucking crazy. You might want to bring her some coffee. Yeah. So the housekeeper brings her coffee. And Kate had drank her coffee and then realizes that she still wants to stab this man with a Bowie knife.
Yeah.
So
coffee's not going to stop you from stabbing a man.
It's not going to stop him from stabbing. So apparently and once again, nobody knows no one knows if this is exactly how it went down, because this is what Mr. Sykes said happened after everything was over with. So take that with a grain of salt. But
I shall.
Yeah, but Mr. Sykes said that what happened was she comes at him with a Bowie knife, and he manages to get it away from her. And she ends up grabbing a pair of pruning shears that was on one of the tables in the room and continues attacking him. And Mr. Sykes says that he kind of blacked out after that and doesn't remember what happened next. He only remembers that Kate was murdered and dead when he kind of came back to. So he ends up taking the scissors and the knife and throws...
He was murdered and dead?
Murdered and dead.
Okay.
Just dead.
All right. I'm just making sure I heard that correctly.
Yeah. So he ends up taking the knife and the scissors and tosses them out the window. And then he comes out of that room bleeding from his chest and his leg. So one of the boarders, Miss Molly from before, and the housekeeper run into the bedroom like, what the fuck's going on? And they see Kate laying on the bed, completely covered in blood.
Oh, no.
She had been stabbed 11 times.
Ugh.
At least 3 of those wounds would have been enough to kill her to the chest.
Yeah.
And the police get called immediately, and Mr. Sykes turns himself in saying, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think it was me. And so Kate's will was found among her, paperwork, and in it she leaves her entire estate to Mr. Sykes, and she names him as the executor of her will. And that kind of caused a legal issue, a little snafu, if you will, because the will was supposed to be executed before the murder trial could begin.
Jesus.
And the man accused of her murder is the person that was supposed to execute the will. And the law was a little bit confused and concerned in this case because Mr. Sykes shouldn't inherit the estate unless he was found not guilty. But there wasn't a law saying that he couldn't be the executor of the will. So the attorneys for Mr. Sykes, so the attorneys for Mr. Sykes argued that if they prohibited him from being the executor of the estate and denying him all the fees, because I don't know if you know this, but if you're the executor of an estate, you are legally entitled to having 15 or 20% of the estate, taking those fees from it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And still today, most people don't, because most of the time it's a family member that is the executor of a will. But yeah, you can actually take money from that being the executor of a will. It's a weird thing. I learned that when my mom died. I didn't know the rules, but apparently that's a thing.
That's very strange.
Yeah. But so they said that denying him the fees and being able to be the executor of that basically was judging him before he was found guilty. And you're supposed to be innocent until you're proven guilty. And then the matters were really complicated by another random ass lawyer that has nothing to do with anybody. A man named Thomas Rozier shows up and is litigating on behalf of, quote, the absent heirs of Kate Townsend. So he's claiming that there are some illegitimate children that he's, arguing on behalf of. But the judge ends up ruling, dude, we don't even know if there are heirs. You haven't proved that there are any. And until they become unabsent, you need to go the fuck away. So he gets tossed out of court. And so they eventually decide that Mr. Sykes can become the executor of this will of the woman that he just stabbed to death.
Okay.
So
I don't understand, but, I know you just explained it, but I'm just saying, I don't understand.
Well,
I want that on
the way
record.
it works.
Go ahead.
So he immediately initiates a transaction to sell the 40 Basin Street home to a, quote, third party for $30,000, which it is worth way more than that. And that third party was going to rent the house to the previous boarder, Ms. Molly Johnson, who would keep the bordello open and running for business. And the $30,000 immediately went to the attorneys of Mr. Sykes to pay for the upcoming murder trial. And all of this was completely illegal because of some different estate rules and all of that stuff. But basically, he was not supposed to have been able to sell that estate for $30,000, basically.
Right.
And anyway, at his murder trial, initially he's pleading not guilty, but eventually Molly Johnson, the boarder, ends up saying, hey, I'm going to testify that Kate made all of these threats on your lives, and, I'll totally witness for you. You're helping me keep this brothel open, so I'll testify to basically whatever you want me to say.
Yeah.
And so his attorneys end up convincing him to change his plea to, I murdered her in self-defense. And so that becomes the story at this murder trial. And he admits that he killed Kate, but he explained that, she was a stabbing bitch, and she was trying to stab him. So once again, whether or not she was a stabbing bitch or not, who knows? Because there was a lot of motive for him to stab her first,
I guess.
Anyway, so eventually the judge learns that Mr. Sykes had sold that house, and he declared that it was an illegal thing, and he ends up removing Mr. Sykes as the executor of the will. He basically evicted, that's the word.
There you go.
He evicted all the, quote, women of lewd life to vacate the property. And Mr. Sykes was, in fact, found not guilty. So he was eligible to end up inheriting from the estate, like the will said. Unfortunately for him, though, after a very lengthy legal battle, the only amount that was left from the estate that had hundreds of thousands of dollars was just a little more than $4,300, which still, not $4,300, $43,000, which is more substantial. Still, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But $43,000 was what he was set to inherit. But unfortunately, Mr. Sykes never legally married Kate Townsend, so he was subject to a very weird law in the Louisiana law.
The law of Louisiana.
Yeah, right. I don't know what you call it, but
the law of Louisiana.
They have a, quote, concubinage law, and it limited the amount of money that he could inherit. So instead of $43,000, which he could have had he been married to her, he ended up getting $340, period. Okay. And the rest went to the attorneys.
Yeah.
So he stabbed this bitch over $340, turns out.
Well, he thought it was going to be a lot more,
He thought it was going to be a lot more.
To his credit, he thought it was going to be quite a bit more.
I mean, substantially more, but it ended up being $340 because he wouldn't put a fucking ring on it. Am I right? Oh, Lord.
Well, I mean, what were rings worth back then, though?
I mean,
how much do you have to pay for a ring?
I mean, you could make a ring out of anything.
Yeah. But maybe not, less than $340 or more than $340.
I mean, whatever. But if he had given her a ring, it would have been $43,000.
Well,
just saying, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. It's a nice hiccup.
I'm very toasty. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's sad that, that he did that, but I'm just saying, maybe he ended up with a profit overall.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
But anyway, so Kate did leave instructions for her wake and funeral, and she left, money
Well, that's nice of her.
aside to have that taken care of.
Yeah.
She wanted champagne, wine, and refreshments at her wake and her funeral. She wanted everyone to have a lovely time. Absolutely no men were allowed to attend the wake, and absolutely no men were allowed to view her body. Molly, which was the lady in charge, getting it together, only allowed 40 women to view the body, but many, many more had come to the wake to hang out with Kate's body.
To hang out with it.
To hang out with it. It's what a wake was. A wake is just a party with a body.
Right. They just go hang out.
Yeah.
It is. It still is.
Yeah. And Hearst took her body to the Metairie Cemetery, and it had a procession of 20 carriages behind it. Only women were in attendance. So, yeah, that is the story of the famous Madam of New Orleans, Kate Townsend.
Well,
and
my
her
God.
stabby Bowie knife.
Her stabby Bowie knife. Okay. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the story, Leah.
I'm glad. Oh, and that information. So the first story, a lot of that came from the NCpedia. And the second story, there's a website called Murder by Gaslight that has a lot of old true crime stories on it. And a lot of that information came from that particular website, which is fantastic for the older true crime stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that I like. Older true crime,
Yeah. You do. You're into it.
I am.
Oh. Well.
So yeah, those are my sources on that.
I enjoyed it, and I just cracked another I Crave You because it's so good.
It's a good beer.
I'm going to drink all of it, too.
Excellent.
All this beer, know. All right, well, do you want to give us a toast?
I guess I surely shall.
Okay,
All right.
go for it.
Everybody hoist your mermaid mug high into the sky.
You have a mermaid mug?
Yeah, you've got a mermaid mug too.
Oh, yeah, I got a merman mug.
Yeah.
Merman and
We
mermaid.
have a matching set of mugs that say mermaid
Right.
and merman that we got from a really cheesy store. It was great.
And usually I drink out of the mermaid one just because it's fun.
And I drink out of the merman cup, but I have the mermaid cup tonight. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
But
I don't
anyway.
appreciate that you did that.
I'm sorry, my
That's okay.
merman.
That's okay.
All right, everybody, Hearst your
Hearst
mug.
it. Hearst it, everyone.
Hearst the mug. All right. Poor old Joe's out looking for his head. He's waving a lot because he don't know he's dead. Big Titty Kate got stabbed with her own knife. Sykes could have had it all if he'd made her his wife.
Oh,
Drink.
Big Titty Kate. Oh, shit, Leah. Big Titty Kate. You're the worst.
Well, she had big titties and her name was Kate. She's Big Titty Kate.
Listen, you are the worst.
I'm fine with that.
Old Big Titty Kate. God damn it, Leah. I'm so upset that you're going to get away with that, too.
Clearly, Big Titty Kate had moves because she had a younger man and a man after her because she had a younger man. I'm just saying.
Well,
Big Titty Kate's titties were just a side of the city, you know?
Tig old Kate. Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, that's good enough. I think it's time to stop.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Join the community chat on Facebook if you want some memes. And I recently started the Mitch's Thoughts thing where the things that pop into my head, I'll just say them.
Yeah, and maybe some of those things shouldn't be said out loud. I don't know.
Like one about why are there no farts in sex scenes in movies? Someone explain that to me.
Because people are decent.
No, they're not, Leah. In movies, they are, sure. But there is 0% it's not realistic. Most people in the heat of passion go, hold on, rip ass, and then go, all right, let's get back to it.
Literally no one does that, Mitchell.
Leah, it's incorrect. Anyway, that happens on the community chat, so check that out if you're into it. Send us an email, southernspiritspodcast@gmail.com. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/southernspiritspodcast, where we are putting up an episode for the first time in months, right now, actually. So,
yes.
Anyway, it's been a rough couple months, everybody.
A very rough, medically unfortunate couple of months.
Yeah. And Leah also has a shitload of work, which is why she hasn't been uploading on YouTube either. But
yeah, I've been working overtime like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yay, pandemic, and
So
being
y'all
a
should
social
go-
servant.
y'all should go subscribe to Leah's YouTube channel too, because eventually she'll do some more. So that's pretty much it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Send us a postcard, P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama 35640. And I think that's it. Did I forget anything?
I think that was everything, love.
Okay. Well, thank y'all, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.